owned by convicted drug dealers or racketeers and are now owned by Uncle Sam. The government doesn't keep all that stuff. Some of it sells, but other comes in handy. For example, the private jet, which was seized from convicts, is now used to transport convicts.
And we're going to go to Larry Ward right now. I think we're talking about convicts with him and somebody who specializes in getting out of that situation. Larry?
One of them is me. I just got out of jail, Ken.
You're kidding.
They have a mock jail cell built up over here. That you're aware that they're building the 18-story or 14-story jail downtown.
Right.
And we occasionally get to go over there and take a look at that thing and see how it's coming along. The jail cell, of course, is outside of the main compound area, but they have a guy in there by the name of George Gilmore today who was brought in from Folsom Prison. His job specifically is trying to break out of places like this cell to test them to see if they're going to work out all right. Talk to him for just a minute while we were over there.
My job basically is to maintain all the locking devices in Folsom Prison and repair them, and that entails attempting to break out or attempting to use devices that might be conjured up by convicts, right? In some cases, yes.
Are you pretty good at it? Can you get out of most places, or?
Some I can and some I can't, yeah.
And specifically, you kind of watch for, are there any types of devices that are unusual that come up in the last couple of years, you recall? Or?
Oh, hacksaw blades, stainless steel.
They use devices to jam the doors as well?
They jam them, they cut them, they do all kinds of things.
It's your job just to look out for that kind of thing, huh? And he does that on a daily basis out at Folsom Prison, and what the job entails for him is just trying to see if he can break out. He says he is pretty good at it. He's kind of humble about it, but he says he can get out of a lot of different places in pretty swift time. Checking through the cell over there, they got a couple of problems that they're going to correct. They have kind of a coat hook in there that is used to hang up the prisoners' clothes and that kind of thing. They decided they're going to get rid of that. It's a place where they might be able to hurt themselves on it, so they're going to come up with some other kind of an idea. The mirror is a problem in this mock cell. They have a stainless steel mirror that is riveted to the wall and kind of looks like one of these House of Mirrors funny looking thing. You know, when you walk, you can hardly tell what your face is like in there. It distorts it real bad, so they decided they've got to come up with a new kind of mirror for that. But progress continues over there. Kind of an interesting experience this morning.
But the long and short of it is you were in jail, right?
I was in jail and I got out.
Well, your homeroom teacher told us you'd come to no good end. We have a guest with Dave Concannon in 1 minute now.
Now, the rest of the story. The FBI finally caught up with George Gilmore at the age of 39. Before he knew it, he was languishing in an iron cot in a 6x10 concrete cell in the most storied maximum security prison in American history, the Rock, as the cons called it, Alcatraz. And night fell. The quiet was inconceivably quiet. This violence in repose, and as George lay there sleepless in the dark, staring at the shadows on the paint-peeling ceiling, his mind meandered back to his own lawless youth, to the life-changing choices that had led to this current circumstance. Such reflection is inevitable in such a place, lifers will tell you, and it continues even as one's thoughts drift into unconsciousness at the end of each melancholy day. But other thoughts intrigued George Gilmore's weary brain as well. Locks, for example. The locks on the foreboding barred cell doors. No con had ever picked open such a lock. Butchered, yes, but the mechanisms were otherwise tamper-proof. And then George wondered about the villain's past who had inhabited this hopeless enclosure. One in particular, with the invisible, yet no less palpable blood of thousands on his hands, a murderer's murderer he had been in days gone by, and now he too was gone. Or was he? For after hours of fitful slumber, at midnight almost precisely, a deafening clap of thunder brought George bolt upright in the gloom. It was a storm roaring in off the bay, and at once the cell in the corridor beyond the bars was alive with strobing light of lightning. Before long, the relentless downpour and crashing thunder and flaming sky fire had engulfed the ominous old stone structure as though the ghosts of long-departed outlaws, as Ogden Nash's denizens of the 13th floor, had returned to rage. It was hours before the storm subsided, and George at last fell asleep. Eventually day came, wonderful, hopeful, redeeming day, and with that glorious first light, George rose from his cot and walked out through the open cell door, never to return. see, George Gilmore, following his turbulent early teens, had joined the Air Force at 17, had learned self-discipline, had straightened out his life. So when the FBI summoned him in 1985 at age 39, it was on account of his professional expertise as a master locksmith. For the legendary Alcatraz, retired as a prison since 1963, was visited now only by wide-eyed tourists. It had begun suffering seizures of its lock mechanisms due to years of salt air and disuse, so authorities called George Gilmore, whom they naturally paid for his services upon completion, and whom they additionally rewarded with the rare opportunity, a true view from the rock, to spend one night in the prison cell of the notorious gangster boss, Al Capone. And should you ever have wondered what such a psychological thrill ride might be like, well, now you know.